We didn't change, we just developed, and by the time we got to doing the Yes album, we'd actually learnt about each other, and we felt very strong about getting together and going away somewhere. We went down to Devon to rehearse the songs, and then we went on the road and performed them before we recorded them, which was a good idea at that time, because you had to perform, entertain the audience, hold them for 10 minutes, because we were doing long pieces at that time, and that's what we did. And by the time we did the Yes album, I felt very comfortable that we had a future. We might be able to last 5 years. I was not that sort of concerned about anybody else. I was very interested in what Yes was supposed to do next. So I was always sitting down writing new stuff and thinking about new things and planning the next project. I was always the sort of crazy driving force. This is what we're going to do next, Gates of Delirium. Why? I said, I want to create war in a piece of music. So at the end, there's this song called Soon, and I'd sing Soon to them. And I think that was the chemistry within the band, working with Chris and Steve and Bill Bruford in the early days, Close to the Edge. It was like, I want to do a long-form piece. Why? I don't know why. I just want to do a long form. And we'd done, round about 8 minute long. We didn't think about making it into a single. The record company thought of that. We just thought it'd be great on stage, go from this song and then a middle section and then go back to the song again at the end. And it just seems so natural to progress your musical ideals into sort of form, like shape and structure. And I was so into it, like a madman, Hi, this is Jon Anderson, and these are my 70s. I'd known Robert Plant from years ago. We met in '66, I think it was. He was in a band called Listen, and we became friends, and on and off I kept bumping into him, and then I heard about him joining Led Zeppelin when Yes was just starting. And then Zeppelin came out, very powerful stuff and everything, and then Kashmir came, and I went, oh my God, this is too cool. And it became such an anthem for me. We were just happy to go on the road with anybody. We didn't mind who it was, and we were surprised by most of the bands we played with. We actually did a tour with the Eagles. It was their first tour. And I always remember it because we had such a great time with them. They were very hip, very cool, very country music, and really good people. And we took them out for dinner at the end of the tour, the day before the last show. And then the last show happened, and we came off stage. We were playing in front of like 10,000 people. The chip was going crazy. And we came off stage, and we were ushered into a very dark room. We all walked in, and we were a bit spaced out because we'd just come off playing for 2 hours or something. And all of a sudden, we were in a dark room, and the lights came on, and it was the Eagles all standing behind a big table full of cream pies. And they started throwing cream pies at us. And it was like, I just jumped right in the middle of it, started cream pies everywhere. Steve didn't like it because he was holding on to his guitar, freaking out. It was a lot of fun. Sometime in the 70s, I was on tour with Yes, and we were doing a concert in New York with the Kinks. So the Kinks were headlining, and Yes was on the bill, and this band was opening the show, the Mahavishnu Orchestra. And I know that a couple of guys in the band were very excited to see John McLaughlin, and I didn't know much about him. But the way they spoke about them, I thought, well, we've got to watch them do a sound check. And I was baffled. I just couldn't believe that these guys played this kind of music, or anybody could think about playing this kind of music ever. It was sort of mind expanding on many levels, because these were incredible musicians. You had Billy Cobham on drums, and the guys, they just, I looked at Chris and said, oh my God, we got to work harder. Because that's great music. I mean, we're good, but Mahavishnu is great music. Hi, this is Jon Anderson, and these are my 70s. Rickie Lee Jones is such a powerful singer, artist. It's just the chords and the way she goes through this part, the introduction, and then the next step, and all of a sudden she changes key and goes into a totally different world. magic.
A long stretch of headlights filmed into white.
I was reading an interview, probably an old interview, I think, from Rolling Stone, that said, you know, in Yes, you and Rick were very much, there was two buses, yours was the happy bus.
Oh, true. And the grumpy. The grumpy bus was the other guys.
Right. I mean, you know, grumpy or not, I suppose the passing of Chris Squire, you know, your fellow founder member.
True.
I mean, you must have felt that pretty hard.
Well, yeah, I was in touch with him before he passed away.
That's
and
good, that's good.
We emailed each other because he couldn't really talk too well that period of time. And I just thanked him for my life, because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing but for him. It's all his fault.
Yeah.
And we just had a good laugh about things. And I had this beautiful experience. I was actually on holiday in Maui with my wife, and we were staying in this little cottage by the ocean. And I haven't mentioned this before, but I was actually in deep sleep, and I was having a beautiful dream. And I was watching this colourful event happen in my dreams, and then all of a sudden I saw this lady to my left, and the dream went away, and I was looking at this lady, and she said, "It's time." And then I looked up and I saw Chris, it was like standing on a cloud. It was tears rolling down his face, and,
Wow.
and it was just the most amazing event. And then I just woke up, and I nudged my wife Jane. I said, "I've just had this dream about Chris," and she said, "Well, you know, if everything is like that, you know, the afterlife and so on, he gave permission for you to be there at his passing." And I went, "Oh my gosh." And it was just the most extraordinary moment in my life.
And was that at the moment that you heard he passed then?
Yeah, well, I found out the first thing in the morning.
Wow.
It was on the news. And,
wow.
And his wife told me about 6 months later. I was on tour with Jean-Luc Ponty. We were doing some shows.
Yes.
And we played in Phoenix. And she came to the show because we did this lovely presentation of And You and I for Chris.
Mm.
And she said, "You know, he wanted to go to Maui before he died." And I said, "Well, that's strange." He actually went there.
Right.
Typical Chris, you know.
How amazing.